takes for sure. There's no turning back anymore. Can you see it's all a game? Life goes on all the same. If at first you don't succeed, all you've got is all you need. If you believe, then stake your claim.
Hello, Rise and Thrivers, and welcome to Monday night, September 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is one of your co-hosts this evening, Regina Rossi Lamoth. Thank you for coming to Rise and Thrive Together. My beautiful co-host and sister from another mister, Raquel Stewart, has some other things that she's up to, and she might be popping in a little bit. But you've got me tonight and our very special guest, who I'm not going to even say is a special guest, truly is my other co-host for the evening. But to remind you, we're in September, guys. Second week already of September. It's our second episode on Rise and Thrive Together in September. And I'm just going to let you know who we are. We are Rise and Thrive Together. We are a vibrant community that is committed to educate, empower, and equip you to have the results that you want. And we do that through real action and through real talk. All right. This is going to be a jam-packed evening because this month our theme is clear the clutter, clear your mind. We're going into that fall season. And if you catched our episode last week on Labor Day, we really got Raquel and I into like the importance of clearing the clutter, the physical clutter, because that really is energy from our mental clutter. And tonight we're going to get into the deep of the soul clutter. All right. So check out that episode. I don't even want to take any more time. Just tap into the chat. What is, when you hear clear the clutter, clear your mind, what it comes up for you. What's up, Sharon? Good to see you. And, let's get right into it. So I am going to share who is on this evening, if you guys are ready. And just in case you didn't get a chance to see, the promos, make sure that you're on Facebook, Rise and Thrive Together, Instagram, Rise and Thrive Together, my LinkedIn, Raquel's LinkedIn. I can't speak this evening. And please join our private Facebook community, Rise and Thrive Together community. But here we go. Here it is. The one and only Hal Eisenberg. Super, super excited. I don't even know how to describe him anymore. Hal has been one of my best friends for over 25 plus years. He is an incredible social worker, an incredible author, just an incredible human being who I am so proud to say has been on this show so many times to talk and give us so many nuggets from flipping the script on educational reform, really getting into the deep work on you wanting to have a better life and the ways that we can have that through lots of deep transformational work. And he's come and shared his 4-book series of Beautiful Souls. But we are so honored and proud to have him tonight, this specific time, because his newest book that came out, Whispers in the Rain, has become Amazon's #1 bestseller. So we are so proud of him. I'm so grateful to call him chosen family, and I am ready to bring on this special guest. Let's do it. What's up, Hal Eisenberg?
What's up, Regina? Thanks for having me. I have a bone to pick already.
He's already boning and picking me. All right, so in the clear the clutter, clear the mind, that go ahead, clear it, go for it.
I need to clear this. This is episode 124. I've been on 50, 75, 100. Somebody's math is off. I'm supposed to be on next week for 125.
Well, we just picked the date. We did not know when it was. This is the perfect way. Ready? So here we go. Special guest, Hal Eisenberg, clear your mind, clear your soul. Episode 124, which Hal has an issue with. And so that's one thing that we can start with, Hal. I mean, we can joke around about that, but think about that. We were very committed. You were very committed. You kind of picked it up jokingly enough going, hey, I've been on episode 50. I've been on episode 75. I'm at episode 100. And now I want to be on 125. We're going to clear that, as you could see it. But
Absolutely.
we're just so happy that you're here. I'm already going to put up in the chats Sharon Glidden going, Hal! Woo-hoo! Sharon Glidden going, amazing book, Hal! And
Thank you.
the third time, Hal! And the last one, heart. So as you can tell, Hal, you've got a big, giant following, fans of yours, dear friends of, ours. And Sharon is already saying Hal has to come back next week again.
Thank you, Sharon, for seeing my side of the story.
Yes, absolutely. So thanks everybody for being on. There was a question that I did drop online, and and the question was, if you guys follow us on Rise and Thrive Together, our Facebook page or in our in the community, and then if you followed me on Facebook or anything else, the question was, hey, what is, and one of our dear listeners answered it already, but the question was like, what do you want, what do you want to, if there's one area of your life you're ready to declutter, what is that area in your life? So listeners, if there is one area in your life that you are ready right now, tonight, Hal and I are going to get into this and go deep. One area in your life that you want to declutter, what is that area? And of course, we are all about deeper and why. So let's take a moment. I'm going to start with my special guest. And Hal, what is that one area that you want to declutter at this moment? Clear out and tell us why.
I think what comes up for me right away is the fact that I want to declutter what's no longer serving me. I think we get caught up, or at least I get caught up a lot in, those stories we tell ourselves in our minds, this is happening to me because of this, or I can't let go of the past because of X, Y, and Z, or this issue keeps coming up. And then you have to kind of stop in that moment. At least this is the muscle I'm trying to practice and say, are those thoughts serving me? Is it serving my purpose, my vision, who I want to be, how I want to show up? And like I have to physically not get in that spiral. That's the clutter. The clutter will, when I think about cluttering, I think about that closet, in the TV shows where they open it up and like everything falls out.
Yep.
The clutter in the mind are the things, those thoughts that you hang in your head that just kind of stay there, like lingering, right? I want to declutter that. I don't want to get caught up in the stories that are just so ingrained in my DNA. I want to release it all so that I can show up as the best version of myself.
Oh, I love that. And that was what Raquel and I talked about a lot last week. Reminder, guys, quick little mindset, right? There's 70,000, the research has shown that there's 70,000 thoughts that go in our mind in a day. Out of those 70,000 thoughts that go through our minds in a day, 80% of those thoughts are what I should have done, what I need to do, what I haven't done, like all of that. So answering to, and there for Chrissy being like, those negative thoughts, right? Those negative things like what I should have, would have, could have, haven't done, need to do, right? They kind of get there. And so we're all dealing with those. And how kind of put in there, about the, do they serve me? So I wanted to say that again, Hal, because that, we said it quickly, but that's something to kind of take in because there is so many thoughts going on. I'm clear that I want everybody right now at this moment. Let's take a deep breath. Like seriously, let's take a deep breath. Let it out. Let's do that 2 more times. Deep breath. The last time, my listeners, everybody, deep breath in and out. Now, why I did that was that type of breathing helps us slow down our heart rate and also helps us slow down the mind and gets us present to what's only right here and right now. This conversation. Now, if you're really quiet, it's going to be like, what is she talking about? What conversation? I know. And thinking about what Hal said 5 minutes ago and 3 seconds ago. But really, the first tip we're going to give you right away, and Raquel and I talked about that last week, was stop and pause. There was a reason why we were taught stop and pause. We've heard other experts throughout our show for the past 2 years talk about when things get so overwhelming and get so put on, it's stop and pause and take a deep breath. And then Hal added a couple of seconds ago, and I'll let you take over from here, Hal, is in that stop and pause, what came up for him was the question next. Is these thoughts, these things that I'm thinking, serving me? Are they truly serving me for my bigger vision, for the bigger vision that I have? So Hal, Chrissy has, put up here so courageously, so open, so vulnerably saying she wants to get rid of these constant negative thoughts and self-sabotaging myself. What would you like to share from the space of what we just did and what you were talking about how does this serve her or not?
Well, first of all, I don't want anybody to feel like, so there's two sides to this. First of all, I think it's great that Chrissy is being vulnerable, and I don't want it to sound like, something's wrong or things are bad. What Chrissy's feeling is what we all feel in the human experience. Matter of fact, the negative thoughts also serves us, right? Because it actually gives us the opportunity to do what you just did, Regina, right? It's to take that breath, to be present. We don't know how to be present unless we know that we have to be present from something, right? So I want to just kind of put that out there as to, step one is you have to give yourself some compassion. You have to hold yourself with compassion and love and not beat yourself up, because beating yourself up is just another, a negative thought that you're feeding that fire with. And the second thing I want everyone to think about is that statistic, Regina, that you said is also really important, because the way the mind works, the mind doesn't know what is real and what's not. So I work with a lot of people who have trauma in their life, right? Or who have experienced trauma, and most of the time, rightfully so, are cluttered with the pain and the emotions. Every time that you're thinking about something in the past, you're reliving it. The mind doesn't know that it's in the past. Every thought you have, it thinks that it's happening right now. Sharon's on here, and Sharon's been so brave about her battle, with cancer. And I know Sharon and I can relate to this. It's you have to practice that muscle of visualizing yourself healthy, because when you stay stuck in the word cancer or I'm sick, you're just feeding that moment. So that's what I mean by, like, you have to stop and say, is this serving me? Is me being negative about being sick or having a diagnosis of cancer serving who I want to be? No, but is it serve me by saying I'm healthy and my cells are healing and that I'm living the best life I can? Yes. Same with Chrissy, right? Like, whatever, Chrissy is dealing with, it's saying, it's almost like shifting that perspective and saying, is this serving me? And if it's self-sabotaging behavior, it's not serving you. Okay, awesome. You notice that now. So now how can you shift that language so that you can be present, and tell your mind what you want to see and what you want to be?
I really love what you said about Sharon saying, it's hard, but it can be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I just heard, Hal, from you, and Raquel and I talk about this often on the show, is, guys, we're talking about building a muscle. So, like, one, I'm going to say right away, Hal and I are not at all, these, yes, we're social workers, and yes, we've had a lot of experience with working with people and doing lots of work on ourselves, like this is the answer. And I'm going to sneeze, so hold on.
Bless you.
I didn't sneeze. That's so funny. Anyway, stop in the moment, right? But the fact is, it is building a muscle. Many people on here, Genevieve is saying, hey, this is a good one. Is it serving me? Genevieve's been a long time Rise and Thrive together. I like to call like Thriver. She's one of my closest friends. Follow her because she every day has been sharing some really amazing tips and just sharing her story as well. That it's a muscle to be built. Anything that you want to do, including us podcasting, you know, writing books, both Hal, myself, Raquel, is a muscle to be built. And we can only get to the next level is because it's a committed practice. Now, are we perfect at it? We all know here there is no perfection. It is just I'll speak for myself, a deep commitment that I want for myself to have a more peaceful, more freeing mindset. And we'll get into the soul set so I can continue to do the things in the moment that I say I want to do. If it's teaching a class, if it's coming on this show, if it's working with a client, if it's writing a book, if it's getting ready to sing for a show, like all of those things. At the end of the day, we are all dealing with circumstances all the time. And it is that muscle to be built about that noticing. I love what you said, Hal, that self-awareness of, oh, here it goes again. Here comes that negative thoughts. And Chrissy said it beautifully. And then it becomes self-fulfilling. If I keep on saying, I can't do this, or I'm stupid at this, then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I also loved a great reminder. This is why we are in community and we have these conversations out loud with other people, because the mind doesn't know the difference, like he said, what's real and not real. One of my favorite people, I call a mentor, friend, coach, was like, said, it's like a bear is attacking you, right? That's, like a bear is attacking you. You're in the woods, and the bear is attacking you. And you can feel that fear. Ah! The mind, no matter what it is, that thing that brings up fear is like that bear attacking you. Is it real or is it not real? Because the mind can't distinguish. And it doesn't distinguish what's from the past to like what's happening right now. It literally is such an interesting. I think we need to have some brain surgeon on here one day. Like, no, seriously, somebody who does that because it's so interesting. It's not my forte of fortes, right? But like, yes, I mean, come on. It doesn't know that it's not here. So I often, guys, stop and say to myself, before I even get to is this serving to me, I work, where am I right now? Where am I right now at this moment? I worked with a client, a very good friend of mine who is in distress and called me up in distress, was so wrapped up in the trauma and the drama of what was happening that I just kept on saying, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, and right here. Where are you? Right? Tell me where you are right now. And when that went through those steps, and it took a couple of minutes, all of a sudden they were clear where they were. They were right there, realizing they were safe at home, in their bed, on the phone with me, and everything was safe. So what do you say about that?
I think what came up for me is this idea of also when you're in that moment, when you're trying to get balanced and centered and even saying, does this serve me? Does this not serve me? There's an empowerment piece that I think is really important in there too, because in that moment also, in reframing the words, you can decide also in that moment not only what doesn't serve me, but what from this situation do I want to carry forward with love, with reverence? I'll give you the classic cliche example. You know, you have your heart broken. You're a mess, right? And you're like, oh, like this is not serving who I want to be, but you're like stuck in the spiral of the pain of the breakup, right? In that moment of saying, does this serve me? I want to move forward with my life. You can say, oh, you know what? That did hurt, right? But I was so lucky that I have this love inside of me to feel, and that I deserve this love. So as I move forward, I can take that piece of the story, because that piece of the story is serving me. Sometimes people think that decluttering your closet means you have to throw it out, you have to get rid of it, you have to let go, let go, let go, let go, and forget. That's not human. That's not realistic. But you can say, hey, this was a loving moment. This was important. I was so blessed to have this experience. I'm going to move forward with that piece of the story so that it doesn't hold me back.
Love that. Ellen has something really beautiful. Ellen is a longtime friend of mine and a Rise and Thriver. And she writes, we never know unless we try. So when I take
Mm,
the plunge with something I'm apprehensive about, I get pleasantly surprised. Positive reactions to what I'm afraid to put out. Our fears are sometimes our defense mechanisms. Bomb, drop, boom. But when I break them down, the situation to actual reality. Hear this again, guys. When I break them down, when I break down the situation to actual reality, I see that I'm not in danger. That's super. I mean, I've been asking Ellen to get on the show. So, Ellen, I'm calling you out. I know you needed some time, but we want to get you on the show. And then she writes, it encourages me to do more.
oh my God, I love this. Can I say something to this?
Please, please. We love you,
This
Ellen.
Ellen, this is amazing, and I've got a kind of a funny story, because I'm sure Ellen did not mean this, but I got a funny story that's just completely aligned to this. I just got back from Costa Rica. It was my first time in Costa Rica. I was supposed to go like 2 or 3 years ago, and whatever. I didn't get there, but I got there now, right? And I'm on a tour. I'm in Montezuma. I'm on the west coast by the Pacific Ocean, and the tour guide takes me to the top of this cliff, going like climbing down ropes, and I feel like I'm rock climbing, and I get to this cliff with this gigantic waterfall, and the tour guide goes, "Jump," and I was like, hell no, I'm not jumping. That's insane. I'm like, that's suicidal. He's like, nah, nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I literally stood on the edge of this cliff for, it seemed like a half an hour, but it was probably 2 or 3 minutes, right? And he was like, don't worry, don't worry. And I'm like, it's like 20 feet down. He's like, don't worry. It's beautiful. The surrounding was beautiful. And I was just like, okay, universe, I'm going to try this. And I jumped off the cliff into the water. I've got pictures and videos. I'll have to post it. And it was the most exciting, exhilarating thing. When I came up from that water after jumping off the cliff, it was like this empowering feeling of like, I just did this. I can do anything, which is what Ellen's saying. Like it exhilarated me and empowered me to be like, I tried something I was scared of. That quote came to my mind: try something that you're scared of every day, try something different every day. And I was like, oh my God, I did it. And I felt really good about doing it. And when you do something like that, it's like you can tackle the world.
Ready? I always love this because we added this. Hal, you haven't been on in a while. Cheers for Hal jumping off that cliff. Oh my goodness. What? So, Ellen, we didn't script this. Raquel wasn't able to make it last minute. You can't ask for anything better. This is why we call it Rise and Thrive Together. It is not about, we just bring the theme, and thank you so much, because that was beautiful. Haven't talked to Hal since he's been back from Costa Rica, like really getting to know that. And I think Sharon, I've known Sharon for a long time, right? She's posting, hey, amazing. And, Shannon's like, woohoo, awesome. But it is that thing, guys, that he had an opportunity, where he climbed, he did that piece. And then all of a sudden, someone says to him, the guide is like, oh, so jump. And you're like, what? Like I've just arrived, I've gotten here. And what? All that fear, all of that stuff, like you have no idea, like what I'm going through. And I just made it to here. Right. But it's that imaginary sort of illusion. And for some people, they might not jump because they really are like, no. But like he knew, like right how you knew, you were like, let's actually break this down. This guy honestly was like, jump. You were like 20 feet and he was just going back and forth with you to say, like, it's really okay. It's really okay. And you jumped, and all of a sudden, the unexpected came, this exhilarating, empowering, like, wow, whole entire moment.
There was no thought, all those thoughts that were in your head, that clutter. When you take that lunge, that forward, I'm not saying you have to jump off a cliff and into into water, but there's no thoughts there. You're just completely free. And what was I doing? I was moving forward.
I love it.
Moving forward in exhilaration. Yeah.
Well, this is so great, and we still got more time. We usually end at 30 minutes, but when it's with Hal, we always give him that extra because he's, pretty much just
I
like
always beg for more time.
he never begs for more time. He's been an amazing sponsor, just an amazing human being, and an amazing friend, and a huge Rise and Thrive supporter. How this all kind of goes into, now we're talking about this great mindset and just beautiful stuff. And thanks everybody. But I'm very curious. Some of our listeners here have bought your book, and really we want to give you a big cheer again for, yay, congratulations, because you wrote this extraordinary book, Whispers in the Rain. It's so beautiful. You know how much that has touched my soul. I love beautiful souls, right? That's the story of your life and all the people and the beautiful souls that have come into your life, changing the characters. And, I love every one of them. Of course, why? Because I'm in one of it. And I'm but for fun. But seriously, it's been, your vision since as long as I've known you, and to have that fulfilled. But Whispers in the Rain, you literally, we talk a lot. We're really good friends. And you had said, hey, Regina, I have something that came through me, and I'm writing this, and I think it's even better than Beautiful Souls. And maybe I'm just a little bit, biased because of who you are for me and who you are for the community. But I honestly got the blessing, people, to get before it got edited and out there. And I told you right away, it is probably one of the most extraordinary books. And when I say soul, right? It's like every day of my life, I take a little bit of that, because I truly believe that everyone needs to get this book. And we're not, guys, I'm not pushing this to say, hey, because of who he is for me. It is truly clear the mind and allow the heart to tell me what to do. That's pretty much how my life is. I'm doing one thing, and this has happened to me, and I've said this to you guys before. I'm on my way to a class. I am a facilitator of teaching a fitness class, and I'm clearing my mind because, I can just go and do and be like, oh, this class, and I've cleared my mind, and I'm in gratitude for the day. And then I sit quietly, and that I'm going to use the whispers in the rain, even though it's not raining. But I clear the mind, it's quiet, and the whispers come up inside of me going, cancel class. I need you to go here. And I'm like, what? Do you understand? I work for a company. They're going to get mad at me. All of that. How am I doing? I'm on my way to class. It's impossible. Right? It's impossible. And then I just, like you said, jump, right? You jump, and all of a sudden everything works out. I can't make it to class. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I have to do this. Something came up. And they're like, and then I reach out to somebody, and the next thing you know, that person's like, oh, I happen to be there. I'm off. And everything just works out. It works out. And that has been a big part of your book on my journey. And I relate to every one of those whispers, which is all what we talk about: compassion and love and forgiveness. All of those, you can say as many as you want buzzwords that's around in the world, that's out there, but you literally experience this. So I'd love for you to share with the audience, those who bought the book, please, write in what you thought. And for anybody else, tell us about Whispers of the Rain. What makes it different? Where did it come from?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. It's a big story. It's a big setup. So, uh, so first of all, I think, it's really important to say that, writing Beautiful Souls, this is perfect for this topic, right? And this will segue into Whispers in the Rain. Beautiful Souls was my decluttering. Beautiful Souls was written from a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of searching, a lot of negative energy. It came from my wounds. If my wounds had a voice, that was the Beautiful Soul series. Where Whispers is different is Whispers, the voice of Whispers in the Rain came from my healing, not from my wounds. And I went to Mexico. This is a true story. I went to Mexico. I was down in Palenque with the Mayan ruins. I had a profound spiritual experience there that led me into this dream in the middle of the woods in a cabin. And there was a storm that came in, and it was torrential downpours. And the dream brought me to these experiences and these spirits, and the spirits shared these lessons about the journey to love and enlightenment. Um, and that's the heartbeat of the book. When I woke from the dream, I felt this pull. Those of you who are following me on LinkedIn, I have like 60, 70 articles on LinkedIn. And I said, "Oh my God, like that was really profound." And my mind wouldn't stop. And I said, "I think this is going to be a great LinkedIn article." After writing Beautiful Souls, I was like, I'm never writing a book again. I wasn't. That was like, it was so many challenges in writing Beautiful Souls from, we're going into our third edition now with Beautiful Souls. I'll share that, in a little bit. And, I said, I'll write this article on LinkedIn, and I'm in the middle of the jungle, and I'm writing, and I'm like, I think this is getting a little too long to be an article. I'm like, maybe this is a short story. And then I was like, well, maybe it's a series of short stories. Maybe it's a series of articles. And then I just kept writing and writing. It was just all these messages were like flowing through me. Now, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. I don't like saying that I channeled it. But there was this feeling, this energy that came through me that I felt like this had to get out into the world. Next thing I knew, I was writing a book. And to be honest, I said to the universe, I said, again, stories that you tell yourself in the past, like, I'm not going to write a book. I'm not, it wasn't serving who I wanted to be. And I said to the universe, I said, if we're going to put this book out into this world, if I'm really feeling this message, like, I need you to show me a sign. I went up to Toronto. I went to a conference and ran into this lady. And we started talking, and she happened to be a book publisher. And I told her what the story was about. And next thing I know, I'm on the phone with her, and they picked up the book. And everything was just a blur. It became the bestseller. It was on the billboard in Times Square, and it's getting into the hands, and it's inspiring people. And I just feel really blessed. I feel really blessed and honored that I had this experience and that I get to share it with everyone. And I hope that it's a book that will serve humanity, and in the subtitle it says there's 48 lessons, and I just want to make it clear that it's not like this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. It's 48 lessons that are embedded in the journey of this story. And I love it. I love it. I'm actually writing a part two now.
Well, Sharon wrote to you, Hal. I'm on my second reading of this book.
Wow.
It's a miracle. And then she wrote,
Aw.
it heals your soul. I have to really think how to explain this.
Wow.
So this is why we come out here, right? I really love what you said. This was, guys, I have not talked to Hal. We, kind of got a lot of stuff going on. We knew he was coming on for Whispers in the Rain. For me, Whispers in the Rain is like long ago. And Hal and I are up to so many different things. So I'm excited to like be here. What I loved in I'm going back to this whole, theme about decluttering your mind and decluttering your soul. I did not know this guy. So this is such a beautiful conversation with him. That Beautiful Souls was his version of clearing his mind, decluttering that mind of his life, of all the stories, right? So things
Yeah.
happen to him in his life. And if you read it, there's this, other version of himself, right? That has the stories. It was, all of the pain that he went through from when he was a child and everything that happened with his family and then everything that happened in relationships in his life with love and friendships and all of it. And they were all painful and they were all really painful. And those were the minds, that got him in all these different spaces throughout his life that always came to that conversation of why me? Why again? Why is this happening? Here it goes, and anger and sadness and all of that. And that book gave him a space, right? To like release all of that, to clear all of that. And, and had wonderful conversations with the people who are part of that book to heal a lot of that. And, then it opens up space for something more. What Hal talks about, there's Whispers in the Rain, right? He's doing the work. He's going to places like the Amazon and the jungle. Now, not everybody has to do that. It can be as simple as sitting in your back, porch. And if you're really quiet, that's why I talk about journaling a lot. And Raquel and I talk about journaling. And of course, we're going to do a plug, right? Because at the end of the day, Hal, myself, Raquel, and Joey created the whole point of Rise and Thrive Together journal, weekly reflections and inspiring quotes. It's still out there because that is a way for myself, out of all my healing, out of all the therapies I've been in and being a therapist and working with interns, that writing is so healing. Music and movement, 100% for me. But writing, and there has been research that pen to paper really does provide something, and how you can kind of speak to that.
Yeah, I wanted to also jump in. Writing is definitely my release. I write all the time. There's a lot of stuff that I put up online that everyone has been complimenting, but for everything that I put up online, there's probably 10 to 15 pieces that are horrible. Just me writing, just the process through those emotions. But I wanted to share, Regina, also that. Um, I went to Mexico and I went into the jungle to find healing from the cancer, and explore, those alternative therapies that I was experiencing in Mexico. And what I learned was part of the alternative therapy was actually the writing, was actually decluttering,
Yes.
because I always refer to cancer as blocked energy in the body, right? And what is blocked energy in the body? It's your body being cluttered with those thoughts that weigh you down, and the opportunity that I had to experience Mexico and Palenque and to write allowed me to choose what do I want to carry from love and what do I want to release that's weighing me down.
Mm. I love that. Sharon is writing. I love the journal. Journaling is the key. She's saying yes. She's going back to this is super amazing. She's so excited about part two, and it's made such an impact in her life. She says, I have it with me in my bag all the time.
Aw.
I'm so excited that part two is coming out. God bless
Well,
you, Hal.
part two probably won't be out for another year or two. I've got an education book coming out. I have a book of spiritual poetry and deep writing that's already complete, and I'm actually currently auditioning. Um, we've gone through 50 authors so far because I'm trying to find the perfect voice that's doing the Whispers in the Rain audible for us, and then we're going to go back and do Beautiful Souls audibles and rewrites. So
And this is, the whole point, guys, about, rise and thrive together, because Hal has been a big part of my journey. Um, and, having someone who is so vulnerable and courageous, and having that right community, sometimes your community is just one person. We have created a huge community, right? We've taken that and created a huge community that had me be able to complete my journey of the book, right? Of, my mommy donated her kidney. I'm so
yeah,
thankful for everybody on here. Woohoo! We've had over 40 something books sold. Amazing. Guys, there's a GoFundMe now, like being quiet inside of what's next. Like Hal, I've got the next versions of those books coming, but being quiet, like decluttering that. And it's not like it was a bad declutter. I did do that. And it's been on my mind. I'm very close to the family. Obviously, it's Hal's family, it's my family, it's our family. But it's been on my mind and my heart of like, I don't want other people to go through what I went through, to try to tell your child. And especially when it's a young child, I'm very much focused on that. You're focused on being your healthiest, being your best version, being of service to another person. I was like, ready. Sure, there were their moments of like jumping off a cliff, right? But in
yeah,
general, I
for
truly
sure.
was prepared. And then there's that other piece of like, how do you tell this child, right?
Mhm.
And that's where the decluttering comes in. That took up a lot of energy, like a lot of energy. And then I, sure, go to the library, because as I'm getting ready to donate my kidney, figuring out who's going to take care of my child, how my husband's going to come with, like all of those things, right? It came to me during like Hal being in the jungle, of when I was just during a full moon, a week into healing. And that came down. And it's because of you guys. It's because of this community that like, tells me like, hey, get that story out there. And now during the quiet time and being in community with my husband and other people, it was like, we now have that GoFundMe to make sure that every single child, family, organization, hospital, dialysis center, every kidney specialist has that book available. And if you can't afford it, we're going to get it to you. So that's, what Hal and I are up to in the world of, making that difference. And I just want to thank the community, because many people on here are watching, donated, bought the book, have also put it already in their library. And a couple of my friends even had their kids bring it to school already, because school started in August for us, and read it to their friends. So I just want to give a big shout out to my Rise and Thrivers.
I'm so proud of you, Regina, for completing this book. And I think your story and my story, and I think this is really important for everyone to hear this. It's not about the story. All of us will have things that happen in our lives, right? There will be clutter, there will be experiences, there will be moments. But if you stop in all those moments that you're having, at any point that you're having the experiences, whether it's a cancer diagnosis or some kind of negative thinking or self-sabotaging behavior, if you could stop and ask yourself the simple question, what's possible? It's on all my posts, it's on all my hashtags. It's because it's kind of become my mantra. Like, what's possible here? You had an experience and you said, what can I take from this experience and how can I serve the planet? Right? That's everyone's gift here. And the gift isn't the book writing. The gift isn't what we say on the podcast. The gift is simply this: is letting people know that their life matters. That's it. It's that simple. Your life matters. You are a gift, and no matter what you're experiencing, you can choose to clear the space and then let your soul breathe and take something and give it back to humanity. And that's how we move the planet forward. That's how we inspire one another. That's how we elevate together. It, there's no time for hatred and being stuck in the past and being angry. It's just like what is possible here so that we can all move forward with a little bit more, you know, soul breath, I guess. Your mic's off.
Thank you. That's why we need to tell people. So I'm saying thank you, Hal. That was so moving. I got from that, you are a gift, you matter, you know? And then the next part is have a moment, guys, and think about what is possible. Because mostly we have the whole negative thinking of this isn't possible. This is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Nope, it'll never happen, right? And so it's really beautiful because one of the things, just in case people don't know, is that Josh and I wrote an article. We're co-authors of a book and another book coming out calling It's Impossible to Be Impossible. It's
I love
impossible
that.
to be impossible. So we'll share more about that and you guys can reach out, right? I'm just really moved by everybody tonight. Genevieve, I love you. You know that. She's grateful for me, grateful that I'm part of her community. Thank you, Sharon, for your love so much for that, and absolutely, thank you. Ellen is like, Ellen, you're part of this community. She's like the gentle generosity of Rise and Thrive, and their guests is so priceless and loving. And now we will leave it with the best things of my favorite. Hal's going to throw us a couple of nuggets before he leaves while I put up all ways that you can connect to him. But here's the fun way to connect to him. Because remember he said what's possible? Here's his LinkedIn. His LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in manifesting what's possible.
There you go.
Manifesting what's possible. Like I didn't even know I can change my LinkedIn. So I'm going to talk to Hal offline so I can change my LinkedIn because that's a very cool LinkedIn way of doing that. So that's great. If you want to know everything and anything about Hal, go on to super easy, haleisenberg.com. Like, can't forget that. haleisenberg.com. And in haleisenberg.com is where you can purchase his books. I'll just put it here. So it's haleisenberg.com. And then there's a copy of the resource, right? That way. And you'll get Whispers in the Rain and Beautiful Souls. And you can get to be on, all of his stuff. So Hal, it's always a joy. It's always a pleasure to be with you and love for you to leave. Look at it's going on 49 minutes. We could sit here for like the next 3 hours.
We just did a podcast that ran 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's on Spotify. If you want to hear more of Regina and I speaking.
Yeah. Yep. Sharon, I'm going to leave with Sharon says, I never thought it was possible to deal bravely through cancer, but I did. And now I'm crying. And yes, Sharon Glidden, big, like snaps up for Sharon.
Absolutely.
Sharon has been my client. Sharon is one of my closest friends. And seriously, when she said she never thought it was possible, she came in never thinking it was possible. And boom, years later, she's not just a client and a friend. She has turned into my mentor. She has created an extraordinary community through her TikTok community and her lives that I get inspired for every single day of my life. So love you, Sharon. Love you, G. Man, love Chrissy, everybody who's on here. So yes, let's go the truth bombs with some Hal Eisenberg before we get ready to say, adios. And Chrissy, we love you so much. And we always thank you for such an extraordinary, being so brave just to share what you're dealing with.
I will drop one final golden nugget, but before I drop that golden nugget, Regina, I'm just going to drop a little hint for your audience that Regina is not only on a microphone on a podcast, but she will be picking up the microphone for a rock band very, very soon. There will be a return. So just like dropping that little hint. And I guess the final uh, golden nugget I'm going to drop is that a lot of people associate decluttering or clearing the mind with saying no to everything. And as I said before, you're not saying no to those things. You're saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to peace. You're saying yes to joy. And here's the big one, you're saying yes to who you are still becoming. I want to say that again. You're saying yes to who you are still becoming because there's never a destination. It is the journey. We are always becoming. And when you think you get somewhere, there's another level to elevate, right? So you're always saying yes to whatever that next level is. So stop beating ourselves up and just love who we are and just know we're doing the best that we can. And this is life. So let's live it.
You are saying yes to who you are becoming. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hal, I love having you as a guest. I love having
Thank
you
you.
as a co-host. I love having you as my chosen family. Guys, what an incredible, incredible show. And remember, you are not doing it alone. It is always better when we rise and thrive together. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Oops, I got rain. Whispers in the rain going on. Whispers in the rain going
Did you do that
on.
on purpose?
Yeah. No, I went to go hit like the ending and I'm like, whispers in the rain. So
Nice.
funny. So grab the book, connect with Hal, really easy. HalEisenberg.com. He's got a contact form. He's always there for you. Remember, it's better when we rise and thrive together. Until next time.